live. We're the Dicks in the Dark. And welcome to our, well, not Dungeons and Dragons stream. Whoops. We don't have a D&D game tonight because some of our members are not feeling so great, having some issues, but we're here to talk about our upcoming campaign, Planescape, Castles and Crusades. So here we are. Hey guys, what's up?
Hello.
What's happening?
Not much. Wasn't very prepared for this stream because I thought, of course, we were going to play our Dungeons and Dragons game up and away. Hit like, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications if you like D&D and all that kind of thing. Unfortunately, no D&D tonight, but because we are considering, well, we're talking about playing some Castles and Crusades and starting our Planescape campaign, I figured we could just do a little preliminary stuff. Take a look at the character sheets, take a look at the rules, take a look at Planescape, all of that kind of thing, and see what happens. So let me over. See some stuff. Right here. Right here. Right here. There we go. All right. So what is that?
The hell is that?
Oh yeah.
Is that a is that a
It's an is
little
that an
white monkey eating bitter?
It's an astronaut,
It's
isn't it?
yeah. It's a Blingor and he's eating a Blintz.
Ha! Oh God!
I
It looks like
see.
Alf.
Alf. It looks like an
I don't know.
astronaut.
It's kind of got a
It's
snout. I don't know. It looks like it's got a snout.
I think is
To me,
that the reflection of the Blintz in his bubble?
Looks like it. That's what I see.
That's what I
maybe
see too.
so.
I think it's the reflection of the Blintz. AI kind of goofed the reflection, but I can see it. I can see it. Right on. Right on. So, Castles and Crusades. Here's my idea, guys. Here's my basic idea. I don't have too much more than this because really there won't be too much more than this until we really get into it. But my idea is that a group of adventurers from all over come together in the city of Doors or somewhere thereabouts, Planescape, and get inadvertently caught up in the Blood War, which is, of course, the war between demons and devils. Um, in Planescape, in the setting, they're called, oh God, what are they called? It's been so long. The demons are Tanari, right? The devils called?
Yeah.
I don't remember now. I just always called them demons and devils, but they are called like they're the devils are Tanari, demons are. I know Hell was renamed Betor, the Nine Hells. Of course, we always just called it the Nine Hells. But yeah, so the Blood War is basically the eternal war between lawful evil and chaotic evil that rages forever in the lower planes amongst the demons of the abyss and the devils of the nine hells. And it kind of touches all parts of the multiverse because it's such a big massive thing. So that's kind of the plan. Kind of get you guys, regular dudes caught up in the blood war. What do you think?
Yeah,
Cool.
sounds like a
Okay.
plot.
Yeah.
Basic stuff, for the beginning here. For you guys and your characters, like I said before, I'm pretty much cool with whatever, whatever we've got as far as game like races and classes. Castles and Crusades is a separate race class, unlike the Beck Me game that we play where that those things are kind of tied together. So more like a modern game. I'm pretty much okay with whatever race anybody wants to be, including Planescape races. Um, so anything in the Castles and Crusades handbook, which is pretty much your standard stuff: human, dwarf, elf, halfling, gnome. I think you can even be half orc because they go kind of old school. So there's like half orc, um, that sort
Yeah,
of
there's
thing. Probably half elf, I'm sure. And
dwarf, elf, gnome, half elf, halfling, half orc, and human are what's defaultly
okay,
listed in our sheets.
definitely. So those, and then let's see. In Planescape, this is the second edition version, but very easy for me to convert to Castles and Crusades. And there are some characters here. There's the uh, Bariar. I think I'm saying that correctly. Bariaur. It is a centaur-like being of the upper planes. It's hardly a centaur. In appearance, it's a combination of a man and a ram, or a woman and a ewe. Roughly human-sized, it has the body of a large goat and the torso and arms of human. The head is a mixture of human and animal. Males have a pair of ram's horns, but females lack them. Bariar tend to be fussy about their appearance. They usually wear shirts and jackets, blouses, vests, and leather girdles. This is a matter of personal taste rather than decorum. They also dye, cut, and shave their pelts to make themselves look more attractive, at least to each other. The look is often finished with jewelry hung from horns or woven into their woolly hair. So,
They're the Kardashians.
yeah. So you have those. You also, of course, have Githzerai, which are uh, a race of mysterious humanoids, now hails from the plane of Limbo, but the Githzerai originally originated on the prime material, from a place called Gith. Their history is almost forgotten, but at its roots is a long-standing hatred of mind flayers and their cousin race, the Githyanki. So, Githzerai, that's a possibility, and of course, Tiefling, which in 5th edition is a core class, or a core race, sorry. But in this is was introduced in this campaign setting, and it is essentially someone who is plane touched, somebody who has either fiend or devil in their background. So, in their lineage, whether it be their direct parentage or not. So, and they usually present with kind of a little bit of fiendish features, reddish skin, maybe a little tail, tiny little horns, that sort of thing. So, besides the regular player character races, those are also an option. The other thing is The standard player character races could be either planar or prime. A prime means that you're from the prime material plane, so you're from someplace like Mystara or Toril, the Forgotten Realms, like whatever. You're like a regular prime character, normal essentially. Planar, which is pretty much what you have to be if you want to be one of the three that I just read, generally, or there are humans or other races that are planar, but those people are native to the plains, generally residing in the outlands or somewhere like that, which is kind of a weird circle of towns that borders the outer plains in a way. I don't know. We'll get more into it, but so those are basically your choices, guys. Um, I'm cool with you playing whatever you want to play. So, does anybody have any ideas?
I'm
I
starting to
Um,
think
immediately
about. Yeah, I'm thinking about things.
yeah.
I think a
I
tiefling makes sense since it's blood war to immediately have some association with
Mm-hmm.
demons or devils inherently. That seems like an easy setup.
Totally would be.
I'm thinking about Githzerai
Mm,
potentially.
okay.
I have some questions though about where you intend to take this campaign. Um, Starting with what cosmological model are you going to run with?
So I'm running with the standard in-world cosmology, from literally from this original Planescape set. Uh, this Planescape set. It is also it's pretty much the original D&D cosmology. Excuse me, because I will also be using older reference material such as the Manual of the Planes and Deities and Demigods. Um, but it's basically the idea.
Is it the Great Wheel cosmology?
Yeah, pretty much. So it's the idea of you've got the prime material plane. Um, I'm trying to think how this works. There's kind of the astral plane is in between the prime material and the outer planes. The outer planes are on a wheel, which is based on the alignment setup. So they're kind of like opposition, and so the outer planes are kind of like the
Is it like this image I'm sending in the chat?
That's
Is
like
where
exactly what I thought. Yeah. It's like, well, that's pretty much exactly what I was picturing.
yes, yeah. That's let me look here. Hmm. Yeah, yeah, that's a good representation. That's I just had to look over here. Uh, let's see here.
film
But yeah, it's the basic old school Dungeons and Dragons cosmology is essentially um is essentially what we're using. I thought that there was a really good in the manual of the planes. I thought that there was a maybe it's in the first edition Dungeon Master's Guide. Maybe there was basically that image, but it was like a very clear black and white image that's like um the to look at.
Let's see. So kind of hard to differentiate. Let me do some more research. Does it use is like the planet from Planescape Toril? Is that the prime material planet?
So the here's the deal. It's kind of the D&D cosmology is it's pretty complex. All essentially the prime material plane is not just a planet.
Well,
It's
sure,
yeah,
but like the
it's
main human planet.
not really. I would say Toril for the longest time was the default D like AD&D setting, which I think is why it like people kind of default to that, but it's not necessarily all of the prime material like all of the planets.
Sure.
Excuse me. The D&D campaign settings, Toril, Forgotten Realms, Kryn, which is Dragonlance, Mystara, Oerth, which is Greyhawk. They basically exist in space, like in
Oh,
star
I'm starting
systems,
to
like
yeah, I'm starting to remember. And then so basically, how do I say it? From what I remember, because I used to do a lot of research about Planescape a couple years ago. It's like these separate realms of different canon universes are like they're kind of like bubble universes that exist that you have to travel through like this jelly-esque space to get between, but they're all accessible and they're all canon. Is that what
mm,
you're
no.
Okay?
I think
Well,
the jelly type space that you're talking about is the ethereal plane. Yeah, D&D cosmology is kind of complicated because you have the prime material plane. So if you go back and like look at Spelljammer, the way that Spelljammer works is essentially it works kind of like the regular universe. There are planets, systems spread all across the galaxy, like whatever. In D&D, there's this thing called the Phlogiston that you have to fly through, and
that's what I'm thinking
it's
of, the Phlogiston.
it's kind of weird, but it's basically it's the D&D version of like deep space or whatever.
Hmm.
Um, in the D&D cosmology, like that's the prime material plane, like space, the systems, like reality, right? Then there are two kind of layers that separate it. So the astral plane is kind of like the buffer between the outer planes. And the outer planes make up the spiritual building blocks of the world, if that makes sense. So the outer planes are basically like heaven, hell, like it's the nine hells, the abyss, the twin paradises. There's a whole bunch of them. Each one corresponds to an alignment. So the outer planes kind of make up the spiritual building blocks of the prime material plane. On the other hand, you have the inner planes, which are the elemental planes. So the plane of fire, all of those. In between those is the ethereal plane, which is the buffer in between those and the prime material. And those are the physical building blocks. So as whereas the outer planes are kind of like the spiritual building blocks of the real world, the inner planes are the actual physical building blocks of the real world, meaning that like all fire technically originates from the plane of fire, right?
Hmm.
All earth technically, and those are the building blocks that make up the prime plane. So that's kind of how to differentiate it. And then of course there is sigil and the outlands, which are that's the City of Doors and the Outlands. Those kind of sit in the middle of the outer planes, but not on the prime material plane, and they act as kind of like a hub. I know it's very complicated. Um, if you play planar characters like a Tiefling or Githzerai, you'll have an idea of how a lot of this stuff works, but you may not have like a super good idea of everything because it's a lot and you're just a player. If you're from the prime material plane, you probably have no idea how any of this shit works. You know nothing about any of this stuff. Um, so I don't know if that helped.
Yeah. So so I understand how the planes interact and their symbolic um, representation of how things come together and whatnot.
Mhm.
Um, is this campaign going to follow the plot line of um, how do I say it? In the Great Wheel cosmology, as I know it, there's like a plot line of like a great battle between different deities that represent different aspects, kind of like in Greek mythology.
Mhm.
And then there's like a bunch of great events that happened, like the Sundering, the Second Sundering, the Spell Plague, where like the concept of magic as it flows through the different planes through the weave um, was like destroyed or whatever, and then there was a whole whatever with that. Is that where you plan on taking this, or is that something separate?
Mm, I'm gonna do basically what I always do, which is I will use any lore that is available, but I'm not exactly sure as far as like timeline where I'm gonna set this.
Hmm.
Um, there are definitely some events that that like the Great Modern March and stuff that I'm really familiar with that is probably going to be in the background because the multiverse is so big. Obviously, you always have the gods and deities are in conflict, working against each other, that kind of thing. That's of course going to happen.
Hmm.
As far as like following a specific plot line, I plan to mostly follow I plan to mostly try and concentrate on the Blood War, but honestly, like as far as like where the campaign is, I couldn't tell you. I mean, it's kind of like well, I mean, it's kind of like our regular campaign. The way that I plan campaigns, I kind of plan them outward from a center, whatever the beginning point is, and I never really quite know what's going to stick or click. So like
Sure.
I don't really know if there's something in Planescape lore that you want to like tie into your character, we totally talk about that. Like we can totally have, a discussion.
Okay, that's I mean that's
If
pretty
you're
much
like,
where I was
"Oh, I've
going.
got like an idea and I saw this bit of lore and I think I want to like have that be a part of my character." Absolutely. Yeah, like we can totally figure that out. But as far as where the campaign's, dude, I have no idea. It's
Gotcha.
funny for the up and away. I like went back cuz I was like thinking about how we got to the place that we're actually on in up and away right now. And I was thinking about it and I realized that there's a point, and I don't know if you guys even like noticed this or not, but there was a point in the very beginning of the game, and I went back and watched it just to see if I could like see it on my face or whatever, where when Guy gets caught, I realize in that moment that you guys have caught Drake and Guy and that they have to go to the captain, and then I have to make the decision. And I wasn't prepared because I didn't know that it was going to turn out that way. I didn't know that you were going to capture them or anything. And there's a point where I realized, like, okay, well, Guy and Drake are both NPCs, and the captain is also an NPC, but it's the captain's decision. And in that moment, I realized, shit, it's my decision. And there's a point where I'm like, okay, the captain takes him into his ready room, and then I kind of like stall, and I'm like, yeah, they're in there for about an hour. And then they come out, and I'm like thinking about what I'm gonna do and like how it.
Yeah.
And
I remember this. I do
Mhm.
remember this.
and in that moment, I had not planned this out, but I realized that like Drake and Guy would have proof for everything that they said in like the setting of the campaign. They got tons of proof. They'd be like, "Here, let's show you some history, Captain. We'll show you everything that happened." Meaning that the captain wouldn't just have to take their word; he'd have a lot to kind of go on as well as their word, which kind of made me go, "Well, like, oh, I think the captain probably would say yes and agree to help them." That's what put us along that path. But that was a decision that I made in the moment
I
because
get it.
there was
It's
there
very
was
fluid and unset and
it's very
everything.
yeah, it's very fluid and
And
unset. And like at the time, I wanted to introduce Drake Tungsten because I thought he was a fun character, and I wanted to introduce the idea of like giant combining robots.
yeah,
But as far as like you guys going after the gang, like I didn't have any of that planned out. I didn't know. I mean, like all of the background, the lore, and like none of that was planned. It was all just the most basic, like, okay, there's some evil guys, and like there's this team, and they defeated them, but then like some bad shit happened, and now they're like on the outs. That's what I had. That's it. Nothing about like the sin, the lore with the sin, and like all of that stuff came later because I had to make it up.
of course.
So the same, like, and that's how I usually run campaigns. So the same will be true for this one. Like, yeah, I'll of course, I guess, plan the initial setting and or the initial adventure and whatever, but from there it's it's just whatever happens. And
Gotcha.
usually it's you guys, but like I said, in that one specific case, I was like caught off guard, and I was like, shit, I got to make some kind of a decision. And then even then, I wasn't sure what your characters were gonna do. I mean, there was every possibility that somebody was gonna push back and be like, "Hey, wait, I don't know if this is a good idea." You know what I mean? So
Right.
yeah.
So I have a kind of an interest in the cosmology and the lore surrounding Planescape, um, that I'll tell you from the get-go, but obviously, of course, adjust as anything you want. I mean, this is your campaign, you're the DM, and of course, we've got other players that I'm not trying to railroad with any of my ideas.
Hmm.
But this is basically what interests me about Planescape is the different deities and how they interact with planes and um, uh, things like the elemental planes leaking into different planes, and things that come of that. I was very interested in the Ganazi, which were kind of my inspiration for what Guthix has in the main campaign now for Sarth, are like elemental beings or spirits or jinn or genies, basically. Um, so what interests me in Planescape is like the
Planescape.
yeah, I mean it's like everything.
Yeah.
It's like the elements, the potential for crazy magic and giant world building and stuff like that. So I'm probably going to be a very magic heavy character, a wizard or whatever like that.
Perfect.
Probably going to be set in the plains. As like a Githzerai is likely what I'll be. There was this There was this main city in Limbo, where it was basically like a dead god that the Gith had built upon, and I believe it's the Gith Yonki that actually have it. So that's interesting to me. Sigil, City of Doors, the center of the multiverse, is very interesting to me. So I'd like to go and uh, potentially, play around with that idea or something like that. But
Let's see.
that's basically where I'm headed to give everyone a general idea.
Sure.
Funny enough, it was interesting. When we first started playing our first main game a long time ago, and we started off in Planescape, nobody called it Sigil. We all
Yeah,
called it We all called it Sigil.
yeah, we totally just we totally flaked on
Yeah,
the
we did.
name.
We did.
Um no, so I have a ton of Planescape original material. Um so yeah, I mean just ask Dan how much contact with deities,
Oh God.
demons, traveling
Yeah.
through the planes, traveling through the elemental planes. Our Ask Dan about our
Mhm.
original Planescape. It was
It
wild.
it was crazy. I mean,
Wild.
we were in Planescape for years.
Years.
We spent
Bless you.
years
Like,
until we actually got to um uh, where did I think we ended up on, like, we were on several different worlds. We ended up in hell a couple times. Um but we finally left Planescape. Like
Hmm.
the last 2 or 3 years we spent um where was it? Where are we?
On Mystara.
On Mystara, the last couple, because, and here's the thing. See, that was the crazy part, is that when he first started the game, he was like, "Okay, you guys can be from anywhere you want to be." Everybody else in the game
That's not
started
how it
off in,
happened, Dan. That's not how it
oh,
happened.
oh
Mm-mm.
no,
You were
because
late.
everybody
You
started from Mystara.
Do you remember you were late? We started the game on Mystara.
Oh, okay.
And we started like a week or two before you were able to play. There was some reason that you weren't able to play.
I was working for Life Touch at the time, so I
Life
might have been out of
Touch.
town. I
Yeah,
might have been out of town.
I think you were out of town. You couldn't play right away. And then by the time you joined the game, they were already in the planes. They were already in
Mhm.
Sigil.
They were already, yes,
Sigil is
they
what
were.
we called it, but
Mhm.
they were already there.
Sigil. They were
And
already in
they
Sigil.
were already there. and you decided that, like, well, since they're already there, I basically told you, yeah, you can kind of be from anywhere if you want to be from wherever, because you have to kind of, your character needed to meet up with them on the planes,
Right.
and they
So
were
my
supposed to
character,
be quote
right.
unquote stuck, so it kind of wouldn't make sense for you to also be from Mystara.
hmm So my character is actually from Toril,
Hmm. Which is the Forgotten Realms place. But
which is the realms.
hmm
It was, yeah. hmm
but
And now,
well,
interestingly, for this game, I have a question before, because I have an idea, but I have a question.
hmm
The question is, what level are we starting?
mm,
Because that's going to inform
yeah,
this next decision that I make.
that's what I gotta think about. That's what we have to figure out.
Okay.
I would
Because
like I would like to start at one or a low level, just so that
Mhm.
you guys don't get robbed. Because like those like low levels are good. Also, I feel like this game is gonna probably go a lot quicker than the Back Me game as far as
Mhm.
like levels. Just I think Castles and Crusades is
It
just
does.
you're gonna level up quicker. We played some Castles and
Mhm.
Crusades, and we've
Yeah.
it's like
Mhm.
it's a more modern game. I think it's gonna happen. So I feel like I do want to start you guys at a low level, and to not rob you of the the getting all the cool stuff that you're supposed to get. You know what I mean? Like
So,
if we started at high level, it's like, yeah, that's cool, but you didn't really get, you know what I mean? Like because we didn't play those levels. It's I don't know. It's kind of like, eh.
so, so here's my thought for my character.
Okay.
A human, just a plain old human,
Hmm.
but from an adjacent world that is at the time frame of the American Civil War. So a Civil War soldier.
That's kind of funny.
That is what that is what I would like to play. A Civil War soldier who gets caught and gets sucked in. Doesn't have to be from Earth. It can be from wherever adjacent place you think it could be from. But
But
but from
but
that time frame, from 1863 to 1865,
Let me
United States,
also ask this in
American.
relation.
That's what I want.
okay. I
Something
I
I really liked
we can work with
about
that.
um where our current campaign is it was always challenging before for me to conceptualize technology and its place in D&D. What are we going to go with, like the futuristic, any technology, any magic, whatever, or are we going to have any technology where, like Dan, once the Civil War, are we going to have guns or any kind of basic tech?
So here's where I want to go with this. I want to keep it pretty D&D.
Okay.
So we have right now we're exploring that fully, beyond fully with the other game. And I don't think we need to do that with this game. I think that with this game I want to keep it traditional D&D. So magic heavy for sure. Very magic, especially a Planescape game. It's going to be incredibly magic heavy. But as far as technology, probably not really technology.
Well, see, here's the
What I
thing.
may
Here's
do.
here's the thing about being a Civil War soldier. Okay, I can lose my musket, but keep my sword.
Well, obviously.
So I mean,
And
there's
even
that.
if you don't lose your musket, if you don't have black powder and balls, it's just a stick.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that is kind of the thing. I would be willing to say like, okay, Dan could be a Civil War character, whatever, that kind of thing. But yeah, definitely no laser guns, no starships, no anything like that. And Dan is probably the only character that you're ever going to meet that had like a gun or anything like that. You know, it's going to be magic heavy. It's going to be D&D, um
Now,
pretty traditionally.
when you say no starships or anything like that, does that include spelljammers or
No,
Oh
no,
God, no. Because
because that's an
because
spelljammers
I
are
feel like those
way
are pretty
those are
integral.
way
I mean, they're
different.
magic based for sure,
that
but they're
yes,
kind
they're
of
magic
necessary to
based.
travel in the planes.
I guess what I would say is that any in Planescape technically anything is possible because you kind of have this like unlimited, multiverse that where really anything could exist. Like you could have any you could absolutely have, technology on the prime material plane. You could have technology in on the planes. Like you could have them, uh but so spelljammers exist, but will you ever see one?
To be decided.
Probably.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So it's kind of like one of those things. It's like I I would probably not think too big because again, the campaign is going to be created from like the center outward. Obviously, we're in an established campaign setting, an established world, but as far as like are you going to be on the prime material plane out in space? Maybe like out in the
It
Phlogiston, but like
That's the
unlikely.
thing.
Like
It
you
took
know
a
what I mean?
it took a long time in the original game for us to even get to that point. A
Mhm.
long time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like a
And
really long time.
and the idea is that like I mean if you're exploring like the lower planes or the upper planes or the elemental planes, that's like almost a whole like you're almost a world away from like Spelljammer. You know what I mean? Like it's almost like so far from that because it's like that's on the prime material. It's through a lot of stuff. It kind of it's there, but it's like us talking about well, some star that's, a billion light years away, we can see it and we can speculate, well, that star might have like some planets flying around it and there might be some life on those planets, but it's so far away from us that like, mm, okay, at the moment, whatever. But yeah, yeah, to answer your question, basic D&D cosmology, um, and I would just worry about it right now with where you want to kind of link that to your character. Beyond that, I just we'll see where things go. But you were talking about before, Cameron, some of the other stuff. I have like, trust me, I have like tons of material on Hollowed Ground is literally a second edition book that like talks about all of the deities and their relationships to their planes and all this stuff. It's like it's an invaluable book, and I think it's actually worth a couple $100 if I'm not mistaken, because I think it's pretty rare.
Nice.
But I have it. Obviously, I think you can actually get copies of all this stuff, actual physical print on demand copies of a lot of this stuff from Drive Through RPG. Honestly, um, this is something. Don't go looking for this because I might use it. This is actually an adventure called
Oh,
Dead Gods. And it is a thick ass adventure.
ooh,
It's
look at
one
that.
that I have taken pieces from before, but I've never run it in its completion. So, you know, Uh, but don't look at that one because that's an adventure. But there's all kinds of
Right.
stuff. There's there's the ethereal plane, there's the astral plane, there's all kinds of things. And then it's weird because within Sigil there's also a whole bunch of like weird politics because you have all the factions and of course the factals. Well, this is the factal manifesto. So there's all kinds of stuff like that too. And probably what I'm gonna have you guys do in the beginning is I'll probably have you just read this, which is the player's guide to the planes, which is like it's the player book from the campaign box set, and it talks about those races and stuff, um, different things. Uh, I was talking about conversions. One of the things for those races is that like thief abilities in second edition are percentile based, but and like some of those like the tiefling or whatever they get bonuses to their thief abilities if they're thieves, but it's easy to like because it's all in fives and tens, so 5 is like +1, +10 is +2, so it's very very easy to figure this stuff out.
Oh, excellent. Found a copy.
Hmm?
Found a copy here.
Oh.
Um, how many pages is that? Um, Just real quick for reference.
The player's guide to the planes is 32 pages.
Okay, good. Then I found a what should be full copy that I will save to my drive.
Yeah, it should start out with this first page. Player's guide
Yep.
to the planes.
It does.
Yeah, and it talks about the basic makeup, who's there, the factions and all that stuff. It's a good primer for the Planescape game.
Will that prime us to where all of our characters will start grouped together if we're thinking about players potentially from different planes or the prime material, or
I
have you
haven't
thought of that?
100% decided yet, but it's likely that that you guys are going to start in Sigil.
Sounds good.
Likely, just because that's like the kind of the central hub. It's the easiest. It's the easiest place, or maybe on an Outland. I probably depends on what everybody's characters are.
I think Reg is ready to go.
Hmm?
Reg is ready to go. He's not ready to
Oh,
go, but
Reginald Sinclair.
but I think Reg is starting to get ready to go.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
I mean, if you let that happen,
Yeah.
then
I here's the thing. I think that it is it's yeah, I can see it. I can see it. I have to see
a guy
exactly how
a
we
guy
want to do
like a
it,
guy
but
like a guy from a world where there is no magic. He's been involved in a civil war. It's just like,
how maybe I won't say that on the. I'll leave that for me and you. I have a
Okay.
question for you, but I'll leave it for me and you because it could be a little.
okay.
It could be there could be something. I have an idea that might make him a little bit more interesting, or like might make it make a little bit more sense, but it doesn't really change anything.
hmm I mean,
Okay.
I even know I even have an idea of how he gets there.
Yeah.
Gettysburg.
Okay.
Gettysburg was fucking crazy.
Yeah.
There was so much there was so much battle going on and confusion, and you know, maybe there was a shell that exploded near him and there's a bunch of smoke. And he's dazed and confused and he wanders through the smoke. And it just happened, you know, the
That's
battle
that
the battle the battle caused a tiny little
a
rift, and he just happened
rift to open
and
up.
he
He gets
and
sucked
just
right
he
through.
just happened to wander through that rift, you
See,
know?
my idea that I have as a suggestion is also possibly how he got there, kind of. So,
hmm
yeah. Well, fuck
We
it.
can
I'll
talk.
just tell you because
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
Planescape. It's Planescape. What if he died?
Oh, that's a sick concept. That is so.
Oh,
Because
wow.
it's Planescape, and you can like that. Like you go to that. Like in D&D, the idea is that like you die on the prime material plane, you go to the afterlife and you become a petitioner basically.
hmm
So like what if he died and there's some he's this is technically the afterlife. So he doesn't have any like of his stuff. He doesn't even have any of his shit because it's the afterlife. He's dead. Like what if he just got fucking shot in the head or something like in Gettysburg?
Oh man. I have to think about that one. That's
Yeah.
interesting. That's really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow.
Also, that 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 clears up a lot of other stuff though. Because what if he's been dead for a really, really long time?
What if all of our characters are dead?
I mean, that's a possibility. But you guys are already like playing, if you're playing those races, like you're already like playing our characters. You wouldn't necessarily have to be dead to be on the planes, but I'm thinking like Dan's concept
Sure.
because he's like, he's like talking about like, oh, well, Soldier and Gettysburg is like, well, what if you were just dead? Like what if you just died? And you were,
Interesting.
and that's how you got, because obviously like other there's no other way, but it's like, yeah, if you die, you're gone
Hmm.
somewhere,
You're going somewhere.
you're
Hmm.
and then by some, I don't know, I'd have to look into it to see, what I thought, but by some, something happened where you're now wandering the plains dead. So there's an idea for you, Dan.
Oh, I've got things going on up here now. Oh my.
See, and
I
that's why I
there
wanted to have
there
this little
there
session here so that we could kind
there
of
are
just
there
like,
there are some ideas now. There are some really really good ideas now. Okay. Okay. Okay.
now I
Uh,
do have
I
another question for you guys, because we know that it's likely not all of the dicks are playing in this game. We know that. I'm thinking it's pretty likely that JT is not playing in this game. He can barely make it to the main game, so probably not playing in this game. Harrison, I'm not actually sure about. I'm not really sure if he's super interested or not. But here's the question for you guys. If it's just you three as players,
Hmm.
would you want to have somebody else?
Potentially, potentially not. I feel like the three of us have been together for a while now. We've got our main campaign that we touch on. If it was just us, I'd be perfectly okay with it and
Okay.
see what kind of funny dynamics would come of it.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think it'd also give you a break from trying to manage or play with bounce around 12 characters, and
Hmm.
bring it back down
True,
to
hmm
3.
true. Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah.
I think it would
Okay.
be a good break for you too to do it that way.
I think so too. My only suggestion is if we wanted somebody else, it would be somebody that we've played with before, like, one of our friends, if somebody was interested. I don't even really have any, I haven't reached out to anybody or anything like that, but it was just a thought that if we thought we needed somebody else that we could, bring in somebody that we played with, or like Ronnie, or somebody that wanted to play, but who knows? Like I said, I haven't actually talked to anybody. I wanted to talk to you guys first about it and see, like, you know. But I mean,
I'm fine either way.
yeah, yeah.
I personally know a couple people that I've played D&D with that could be interested. But I'm also fine keeping it as just us three. So
Cool. Cool,
Yeah, I don't feel
cool.
passionately either way.
Right on. Yeah, no, it's having a smaller game is sometimes nice. Not having to manage as many characters or as many people or whatever. It can be easier to kind of, also it
Especially
can.
if this is not especially if this is not going to be a live game like we talked about,
Mhm.
mhm.
because
True.
then it makes it a little bit easier to negotiate the stopping point when we're recording, so we can split
True,
it up,
true.
so we can do other things like that.
Mhm.
um you know that's going to be, that's going to be that's a big factor,
True, true.
having
Also,
having somebody new come in to deal with, and to deal with with a newer person to get used to them, even if it's somebody we played with before, to get used to them again,
Mm-hmm.
right?
And online.
Right. And online.
And that's
And
not
having
even
them
to say anything about scheduling. And
True. Yeah,
right.
yeah, of course. Of course.
Right. So
The other
yeah.
the other thing is that having a smaller party, I said it might, but it will definitely, if it's just like you guys, move quick. Big parties really slow the game down to a
Well,
crawl
especially when
sometimes. But a really
and I
little party
Mhm.
can just, you know.
and I can't speak for Cameron, but I can tell you that playing 3 characters
Oh, is a lot.
it
Sure,
taxes
sure,
you.
sure,
You
sure.
have to internally you have to switch
I
between the
agree.
characters all
Yeah.
the time, and it's difficult sometimes because it's like, okay, wait a minute, where was Argyle? Okay,
Wait, wait,
Mary
wait,
was
wait,
over
wait, wait.
here.
The DM is looking for his smallest violin that he can possibly find because because
All 92
because
characters.
yeah, exactly. All
Yeah.
175 characters that are
Mhm.
that are the NPCs of Nova Destiny. You're like, I have to switch between 3 different characters. Uh, Meanwhile, I'm trying to you know, I'm trying not to have Min Coco sound like the captain or fucking, right?
Oh God.
So no,
Yeah.
trust me, I sympathize.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the thing that's funny about the multiple characters is it was. I'll tell you, it was never really meant to be too much of like running them all together. That just
But
kind
it's
of
been
happened.
that way. It's
It
been
has
that
been that
way.
way, but it just kind of happened. But that wasn't like the idea was like, oh, you can kind of have choice to who you take on, away missions or whatever. So, you know, things happen, but yeah, 3 characters. Easy.
Yeah.
Super
Mhm.
easy. 3 characters,
You
three
bet, dude.
players.
You better find some wood and knock
Also
on that
everybody
shit.
on camera. Holy shit. You
Oh,
actually see
true.
everybody's face, reactions. Wonderful. Did I tell you
So
what
I'm
JT?
no, go ahead, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say real quick that I was talking about a way for JT to be on camera, and one of the ideas was for him to make a puppet, like a hand puppet.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember talking about this. That would be funny.
Go ahead.
Um, so yeah, back. I think I've got a solid idea of what Dan wants to do. Garrett, you've been kind of quiet. What do you think about all this?
I think I'm when it comes to Planescape, I'm happy with almost anything just because it's so open.
hmm
There's just so much I'd be happy with. So I am perfectly fine with if you have any ideas for like, especially if you two feel comfortable or confident in those characters, use my character to kind of tie it into where you want to start or where you want us to start. I'm fine with that too. The only thing that popped up in my mind is doing a tiefling, just because, like I said earlier, it's kind of the easiest way to make an association with the Blood War.
The Blood War. Yeah, I don't know that we even necessarily need an association with the Blood War from the beginning.
Okay.
Um, we could. Probably what I'll do is we're kind of nailing down Dan's character. Probably what I would do is you may Cameron have to kind of like you said you had some ideas about like maybe some different lore or whatever. You kind of have to nail down really what you think if you wanted to incorporate some of that into your character, and then we could
I
probably just
definitely will. It's just a matter of
yeah.
what specific
Yeah, of
thing
course
I
you're
want
gonna have
to do.
to kind of do a little bit of research. The thing that I would say is if you're looking at lore, look backwards, don't look forwards, because and
We
I know
can't
that's
look at
hard.
lore.
It's
We
hard
can't look.
with
We can't look at
He
lore
took
right
off
now.
halfway
he took
across the
off.
Yeah,
galaxy. He's
Gone.
gone.
he's gone.
Took
He's
Anya.
gone.
What the
Yeah,
fuck?
yeah,
Yeah. What the hell?
definitely. But if you're looking I know it's hard to if you're just looking on the internet because the internet's weird. I would try to stick to like official sources and would try to look backwards because like first of all, I have not read any of the new material, like any of the what's been published for 5e. I intend to, and I may take bits of that, but at the moment, that's like nebulous to me right now. So if they whatever changes they've made, or if they've added anything, I'm completely ignorant of all that. But as far as like the lore from this, what I wouldn't want you to do is take lore from like an adventure that we might play. You know what I mean, or something like that. Like there may be some lore from like for example, like that Dead Gods adventure
Yeah, sure.
is
I won't read the Dead Gods.
Mhm.
What I will probably do in my research is start at the Blood War, try to get a general timeline of when this is happening and, events or
mhm.
whatever surrounding. Then I'll look backwards. I'll
Okay.
look at, Hollow Grounds and things you brought up, um, Manual of the Plains, stuff like that.
Mhm. Yeah. I go more also like I tend to one of the things that they did with Planescape, and I'm sure that this has continued probably even to a greater level with the newer published stuff, is that Planescape came out in the 90s, and in the 80s there was there was what they called the Satanic Panic,
Yeah,
where
there was.
yeah, and it was totally
Yeah, there
real.
was.
It was 100% real.
Is this where like
Hmm.
people were worried, like kids playing D&D would like corrupt them to Satan and stuff like that?
Mhm.
Oh
That
God, yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. And that so the make that's why demons became Tanari. Batazu is what devils are called. Devils became Batazu. The
Badasu, that's
the
right.
nine
That's right.
hells became Bitor, and they would kind of still like say, okay, that's the nine. It's the nine hells, but like it wasn't big and advertised. And little by little through second edition, they eventually like dropped that. They kind of eventually started to drop it. They realized like there's enough distance, and finally you started to get like the post. Do I even have? Where are those? You started to get some kind of post Planescape stuff. I don't have it right here with me, but like there was an adventure called a Paladin in Hell, for example. Um, Fiends Faces of Evil is one of the I think one of the things that came out. Oh yeah, yeah, that's right here. That's right here. I think that might be worth a lot of money too. Um, but the I go back to kind of the old school. I always say hell, the abyss, demons, devils. They clean some stuff up. I have a feeling that the new one is going to be like super PC because that's just it's like Hasbro and just the way Wizards of the Coast is. So, I'm not sure, but I always default to the more evil first edition grittier stuff. I actually did have I did have my own personal Satanic Panic interaction.
That's funny.
Dan and I, Dan used to go to this youth conference, this
Hmm.
Christian youth
Yeah.
conference, and the one year I was gonna go with him, but we weren't gonna ride together. I was gonna ride with this church group, and me and my friend rode with this church group, and I brought along the basic Dungeons and Dragons book and some dice, because me and my friend Chris were gonna probably play some D&D. And this lady that we were riding with was like freaked out when she saw it. She was like, Dungeons and Dragons? That was created by Satan. And I was like, no, it was created by Gary Gygax and Dave Arneson, but you know, yeah, she's like, well, put it away. I don't want to see it in my van. Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah, it's crazy. I was just like, whoa, lady,
Oh,
too much, but
a little bit.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, as far as everything else, I don't know. Any other comments, concerns?
I'm actually getting a little psyched for this.
Yeah, it's a cool setting.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We got some things to look into. And then,
I'm actually kind of, even though I've been there already. I'm kind of looking forward to going back and re-experience, because I know that there are things that maybe get I'm there they may get
I'm
re-experienced, but I
referenced.
think that there's also things that are going to be brand new.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
I feel like, especially for you, Dan, you're gonna have a ton of references to your old campaign that Steve's gonna throw in there. Um, I don't know.
So I was thinking about that. I might throw in references, but it's definitely not the same. It's not the same universe. It's not the same campaign. There's not going to be any
oh come on,
connections.
come on,
I'm
oh
not
come
going to
on
do
now,
that because there's
come on
just
now,
too much shit that happened for us way back in the day.
come on. No, it's got to be the same time. It's got to we got to run into those guys at some point.
Yeah. Maybe you'll
We
run
just have
into
to.
some alternate versions of them or something, but you're definitely not running into them. Yeah, yeah, for sure. Too much shit, too much stuff there. So I for the stream I actually brought up just real quick. I brought up Garrett's character sheet so that we can so that the stream can kind of see the Castles and Crusades character sheets, which are pretty basic. Do you guys have any questions about anything on the sheet? Seems super self-explanatory. I
Oh
don't
yeah.
yeah. I mean even like the
So,
abilities, it seems like you can just kind of add
journal.
like the racial like for the racial abilities it's just like add modify, like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it seems
Mm-hmm.
pretty basic.
It goes here.
You got your spell book,
Spell book,
inventory,
yeah.
Mhm.
spells.
I like how the journal has separate entries that you can. So there's like 3 text boxes you can make notes
Oh
in for
yeah,
various
yeah,
things.
yeah.
Um,
Big spots
Mm-hmm.
for journal notes. Monsters, that's for me basically. So like if I create I um the Beckme character sheet that we use has a little space for this, but it's not that much different. But this one is like a whole nother sheet for monsters, so that's nice. Um, Even saving throws are like they really like they
yeah, I
they
was looking at
they
saving throws.
broke
That's
them
what
all
really stood out
out,
to me.
so
Yeah.
it's like there's no question about, you know what I mean? It's like everything's
Mm-hmm.
broken out, so that's kind of cool. But the saves are based on your ability scores. And then one of the things that I was talking about is up here, yeah, you can the primary,
Primary,
secondary,
yeah.
and tertiary. Um, the standard game just uses primary and secondary, but there is an optional rule for tertiary. So instead of having 2 tiers of um, like
Skills.
difficulty skills, you have
Mm-hmm.
3. But that's something I'll have to figure out. Uh,
Base.
hey, you got a critical.
Wasting my nat ones already.
Yep. But yeah, it's pretty basic. There are no feats in Castles and Crusades, but generally a lot of the character classes have abilities that they get each level. So, unlike Beckme, for example, the like a fighter, just a standard fighter, right? In super old school D&D, the only thing that the fighter gets, right, is his fighting ability. You don't really get anything like extra. You don't, other than that stuff improving. But let me look here. Just to give an example. Where is the fighter? Fighter. Yeah, like so for example, at fourth level, a fighter in Castles and Crusades gets an ability called Combat Dominance. The fighter gains an extra attack with any weapon when fighting opponents with one hit dice or less, and that actually increases. Um, so it's like there's some like little extra things, uh, easier than like the a la carte system of like feats, which honestly I don't like in modern systems. I prefer this, but there is also the option of having. I don't know if the player's handbook really talks about it a lot, but there are a couple of multi-class options as well. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about your characters. Um, Dan's character wouldn't be eligible to be multi-class because he's human, but you guys likely could be multi-class uh, if you're playing Githzerai and Tiefling. In fact, let me look. There might be. Mm, a, there. Let's see. Hmm Just trying to see if there were. Ah, yeah. So I wanted to see what the race classes for these are. So tieflings can be fighters, rangers, wizards, including specialists, priests, thieves, or bards. They may also pursue multi-class options, including fighter wizard, fighter priest, fighter thief, wizard thief, and priest thief, which is which I always thought was a fun combination.
Huh.
Um, where are let's see. I think there's something about Githzari wizards, isn't there? Let me look here. Ah. Yes, because Githzari have some sort of innate magic resistance, but they have to purge themselves of their magic resistance in order to become wizards. Otherwise, they can't cast spells. So it says Githari wizards don't have innate magic resistance, as they must purge that quality to become mages. Fighter wizards can choose to have resistance with its penalties or not, deciding when the character is created. Hmm. Interesting. So, yeah, so we'll have to look through this and see. But you were thinking about being a wizard, right, Cameron?
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking about Planescape, which is a
Hmm.
largely magic setting,
Oh
then
yeah,
I
yeah,
think I want to explore the what kind of new magic things are brought to the table. So
yeah.
definitely, I'll look into that. Um, since Planescape is a, uh, I guess it was Beckme, you said. Uh, what would you rule in terms of the character attributes? I know some of them they're built for the Castles and Crusades system, which will have like if a human, for example, wanted to have like 2 primaries and 3 secondaries or whatever, what would you rule for the Planescape versions, like that?
So, are you talking about like the method of rolling ability scores?
Well, that too. In fact, I was going to um, maybe bring up the idea of doing that this session, but like would Tiefling, like how many primary things do they get? How many secondary things do they get?
Ah,
Gets
ah.
Sarai, how many primaries? How many secondaries?
So if we go with the standard Castles and Crusades rule, the rule is humans get 3 primary and 3 secondary, demi-humans get 2 primary and 4 secondary. So if we're going with that, then that would be the standard. Um, if we're going with primary, secondary, and tertiary, I'm gonna have to consult the book to see exactly how that's set up. The other thing is about rolling character, rolling. Originally Planescape is second edition. We're doing Castles and Crusades. The ability stores are the same, like 3 to 18, like all D&D basically. As far as how to how to roll, gosh, there are a lot of different methods that we could use.
Oh yeah.
Um I would probably not go with the standard straight that we went through with our original with Abekmi. I would probably do like roll 4 drop 1,
Okay.
which will give us a little bit of a higher average on scores. Um yeah. That's probably what I'd do. Probably do roll 4 drop 1 for all 6 and then keep that and then place wherever you want.
Okay.
Which
So
yeah.
not going down the list, we can
Nah, no,
just
no, no,
roll
no, no,
6
no, no,
separate
no, no, no,
scores.
no. No, I would let you guys pick because I would definitely want to make sure like if you have a specific character concept, yeah, you're gonna want to pick your ability scores. Uh, Also for having a smaller party, I think the higher ability scores is a better, you know, to
As
do that.
long as
So
long as I don't have any like ridiculously low scores that put me at like soulless level intelligence or
Yeah,
something
which
like that.
which is why I was saying the roll 3 drop or roll 4 drop 1 gets you pretty decent characters.
yeah.
Usually. Um if they I bet you there's a section in the Castles and Crusades rulebook that talks about rolling ability scores. I have a feeling generating scores. You know what? It really doesn't. It's pretty basic. Actually, it's probably in here. I bet you the Castle Keeper's Guide has multiple various ways to roll your ability scores. I have a feeling. Yeah, alternate methods. Let's see. Yeah, method 2 is what I thought. 46, drop the lowest. Let's see. If the castle keeper desires characters to be very powerful, have the players roll 5d6 and drop 2 lowest.
Jesus
That makes a
Christ.
that's a little much. Let's see. Choose one attribute and roll 3d6 6 times for the attribute? No, no, no.
Oh my
Fuck off with
god.
that. that's
What?
that's
How does
way
that
too
make
much.
sense?
I know. I'm like, what? Let's see.
Wow.
Method 4. Roll 3d6 and total the results for each attribute. The scores are not arranged as desired. Produce 13 characters in this manner.
What? Wait, what?
The player then chooses one of the 13.
You just want to roll dice at that point.
Yeah. No, wait. That's way too much. That's ridiculous. Method 5. Oh, here we go. This method puts the onus of attribute generation almost entirely on the player. The player receives 66 points to divide among the character's attributes.
I think we've done that once.
Yeah, we may have. The player assigns a
I
character
think
66
I think that
attributes
we've done
points as
that once.
funds. Yeah, and then because 66 gives you like 9, 13, 17, 9, 9, 9, which is an above average character because you got that 13 and that 17. Nine's obviously average, but gosh. Method 6. Use any of the systems above, but reduce any one attribute by 2 points or any 2 attributes by 1 point, and then increase the second attribute. Oh, okay, okay. That's the
Drop 2, add 1.
No, that's the thing where after you rolled your ability scores, if you want to like redistribute points, you can
Mhm.
redistribute 2 for 1. That's a
Yeah.
pretty old school. That's actually from original D&D or from BECME. Um, but yeah, I'm thinking after reading all those, I'm gonna go with the roll up 13 characters and then just no, no, not
Yeah.
that one. No, I think I'm gonna go with yeah, roll 4, drop the lowest 6 times, place as you will. If your character is unplayable, then roll another array. That's pretty standard. That's what we mostly did
Yeah. Hey,
uh,
Steve.
in our campaigns. Yeah.
So I'm trying to remember, and I can't even remember what they're called. And I just looked through the handbook, through the player's handbook, and maybe
Hmm.
it's not even Castles and Crusades. Wasn't there a game where we had like, and I thought this was the anime game, where we had um some kind of thing that it was like a negative thing that if it happened, it affected the character in some way. It was like part of the personality. And I'm trying to remember what game that was in.
That's probably um yeah, you're talking about
You know what I'm talking about, right? That's Savage
Savage
Worlds.
Worlds.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, okay. Okay.
Savage
Okay.
Worlds like some other kind of open RPGs
Hmm.
that are meant for like
That's right. That's
multi-genre
right. Hmm.
will often include a like a you have like positive character attributes and negative
Hmm.
character attributes.
That's what it was. Savage Worlds. Okay. I was trying to
Yeah.
remember
So
which game
so
it
like for
was.
example, you could have like your character could have the attribute tougher in Savage
Yes.
Worlds, and it
Hmm.
increased your resistance to damage.
Hmm. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Nothing
That's not in
complicated.
this.
No,
That's
no,
not in
no.
this. That's
I
right. That's right.
really Castles and Crusades is pretty black and white Dungeons and Dragons. Um, with the the add-on of the siege system thing, which is basically the primary, secondary, tertiary. That's
Hmm.
really the biggest change from like any kind of D. Other than that, it's pretty straightforward D&D, which is why I chose it for this campaign because it's easy to convert material from pretty much any other version of D&D to this version because it's so simple. That allowed me to use all my old stuff as well as use new stuff if any of it's cool, yet to be determined. Though that box set is on sale on Amazon for like 50% off right now, so
Huh.
it made me kind of think. I was like, like the new one, the new Planescape, the 5th edition
Mhm.
box set. It's like very cheap on Amazon at the moment. So, but yes, yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm excited too.
I think this.
Um,
I think this could. This has a good potential. Yeah.
Then for actual logistics for how you wanted to run it, you said like every other week? Try to get
My
2 weeks worth of content in one run?
actually my plan was once a month.
And then
Run a
release.
run
Okay.
a Saturday game once a month that we could edit into two parts. You know, maybe like a 4-hour game or something that we can kind of split down the middle. You will, would take a break or whatever, and that'll be our like split point. And we'll just record it. That way we don't like I my intention is to just start the game, start recording and just go. And not even like worry about the YouTube stuff and add that in post.
Okay.
Like basically just sit down, I'll hit record, we start playing, and then I'll just make a standard intro that I can tack on to the beginning and a standard outro that I can tack on to the end and done. Then we don't even have to worry about a stream. We don't have to worry about, any of the YouTube stuff. We just play and then I'll just chop it up and that'll give us like basically a second campaign that I can put out like every other week.
Mhm.
I may even like hold it back a little bit. Like I may even kind of delay us so that we have a little. You know what I'm saying? Like
Buffer.
if we have a little
Yeah.
buffer so that like I really can put one out like every other week in a regular fashion or whatever. But yeah, that's the plan. That way it doesn't. The other thing is that if we don't have to have a 100% set time.
Yeah. We
You
can.
know,
We can.
we
It.
can
It's.
kind
It
of
makes it
play
easier.
with
Yeah.
that a little bit. We could even say, well, like nobody can get together on Saturday, but we can get together on Sunday afternoon or whatever. Like, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like whatever it is, and it gives us a little bit of leeway where it's like we don't have to be, um, on stream at a specific time or whatever. We can just I can just put those out later and I could even put them out as like premieres so they're kind of a stream in a way.
Gotcha. Do you guys
Yeah.
have a feeling on time for it yet? Like, is there a certain day or time you were thinking of already?
To begin, no. No, not really. I kind of wanted to get everything, kind of figure out cuz like I said, I wasn't even sure about players.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I wanted to kind of figure out everything. I feel like we're probably locked in. I feel like it's us us four, you three as players. I feel like that's pretty good. Unless there's somebody that absolutely like, is like, "Oh man, I got to get in on that." But
Mhm.
but yeah, I
That's
feel like
definitely
that's
not
pretty
Jay.
good.
That's
No,
that's not
definitely.
Jay.
I don't no,
That's
no,
not
definitely
Jay.
not Jay.
No. Mm.
But yeah, so that's my idea for that. And then as far as like yeah, once you guys nail down your players and or your characters and we get those rolled up and kind of have an idea of what we're doing, that'll give me like once I have your three characters, it'll allow me and hell maybe as we're kind of talking about that, it'll give me a little way to kind of weave things together for the beginning.
Hey, we've consistently had like 4 people watching us today.
Not
nice.
me. I do not have the stream on today.
I do not either.
I have it open.
I
So
do.
I'm one.
Well, I have it open as Dicks in the Dark, so that's one.
Oh yeah, okay. Well, if anybody's watching, hey, hopefully you're
Yeah.
excited as we are about our new campaign. Check out our old campaign, Up and Away. There's tons of those, but
Mhm.
yeah, we're super excited about this this new one. I can't wait to get back into Planescape. It's been a long time.
Mhm.
Yeah, excited.
It's going to be very different from Up and Away. Very,
Very
very
different.
different from
Oh
Up and
yeah,
Away.
yeah. 100%, 100%. Very different. I feel like
Mhm.
it'll even have a different feel. Cuz Up and Away, I try and keep it, it's meant to be light in a way, you know, it's meant to be cartoony, it's meant to be goofy and, you know, in a
Oh,
sense.
we could get super serious with
I
this
I was gonna say
because
this, the if it's like Blood War and stuff, like
Mhm.
it could get dark.
Yeah,
It could
because
definitely become a darker,
yeah,
serious game for sure.
the old Planescape game,
Got
it was
dark.
light in it
Got
was light in
real
moments,
dark.
but it did get really really dark
Oh
at points.
yeah,
It
real
did.
dark. Yeah.
It did. It did.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. So, yeah. I feel like it will definitely have a
Mhm.
different feel to it.
Oh
But
yeah.
I don't know, guys. What do you think? Anything else tonight?
Did you want to end off on a high note by rolling scores?
I mean, if you guys wanna roll some characters, we could at least roll scores.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, we don't have to put them anywhere, but
Yeah,
having
yeah.
Have
If
'em.
you roll scores, it gives you an idea at least. So yeah,
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. We could do that.
see. Let's go D6. Okay. So we have 12. 10.
There you go, buddy. There's your
Oh
18.
dude.
How many times do I need to roll this? 6 times?
6. You got
Yeah.
3 more rolls.
Okay. We have a
Okay.
9. We have a 14.
15.
A
Not
little
bad.
stacked.
That's
And we have an 11.
That's a killer character.
Yeah.
that is a character right there.
That's a killer. That's a killer character right there. That's good scores. 13, 15, 10, 18, 10, 12. That's
Yeah.
solid.
Holy.
That's a solid
That's
character.
oh yeah.
Got a genius intelligence for your wizard there.
10.
Go ahead, Garrett.
Now I'm concerned after that. All the luck is gone.
9.
Did it not? Oh, I'm not on the wrong thing.
Yep. You've rolled twice now.
Oh, I don't have the dice on. That's why.
So
You
you've
Oh.
got
gotta enable those
yeah.
dice.
So you've got a 12. No, wait a minute.
11.
11. 2 11s so far.
2 11s. 10.
Oof.
A 7.
Oh my.
Are we gonna have a blah? Oh, where?
Oh.
Hey, okay.
There we go. 16.
16.
Character's just ugly.
13. Okay. Yeah, not too pretty average, and then just one 7.
Not bad. No, not bad. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty average.
I mean,
It's
technically, it's above average by 4.
True.
all right. Here we go. Let's see what happens. It's 12,
12.
12. Okay.
13,
13.
10,
10. 15.
15. Not
Okay.
bad.
13.
13. Honestly, this is a way above average human
Yeah,
already.
honestly,
Yeah.
these
Mhm.
are
Oh yeah.
decent. Very decent.
15.
15.
Out of 15.
Mhm.
Yeah. That's a very
Yeah.
solid
I
character
mean,
you got there, Dan.
Mhm.
that is that is a very well above average human right
Oh
there. I
yeah,
mean that's
yeah. No, that guy is way above average. Yeah, for
oh
sure.
yeah. So I'm not mad at that at all. Not mad at that at all.
All right. Well, exciting
Cool.
stuff to work with.
Now you'll just have to take a look at those rule books and think about your characters and think about your, what, how you want your characters to come together, and we'll talk about it. We'll have some discussions, you know, once you've kind of come up with a concept for your character, or like have kind of things nailed down as far as background lore, whatever, which obviously you don't have to you don't even have to make a too in depth of a background. That's something that we never really have to do that, because man, we'll just get into it.
Hmm.
Stuff will come up, in the game. So as little or as much as you want, but yeah, once you guys have your concepts ready, just let me know, and we'll start to kind of weave them together. It's likely that we'll actually do like a real session zero, where we
Hmm.
kind of like look at all the characters and really get everything together, before we actually start playing. But yeah.
All
I've
right.
been going to,
Mhm.
especially if we're going to play on a monthly basis,
Mhm.
I'm going to try to be better at recording session notes. So I'm starting to type up a little Google Docs kind of thing. And depending or not, I know it is extra work for Garrett. If we want to have a section within Docs in the Dark or something like that.
Yeah.
Um,
I was probably going to
uh,
create a separate tab for it
okay,
somewhere, but yeah, I was going to still keep my notes in there.
cool.
Cool.
Well, then I will, if not, try to learn how to encode and uh, use the site from a developer standpoint. We'll forward you my notes. Uh,
Nice.
yeah.
There is I
So you know
try to
what? I mean, because we're not all the dicks, right?
mhm.
Maybe this game could be the circumcised game.
I'm all about that branding, but something tells me
That one
that
won't fly.
that's gonna give us a different type of views.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, yeah. Yeah, we'll have to workshop that one, Dan. We'll
Think
see
maybe
where we
so.
can
I
we
don't
can
know.
go
Put a
with
pin in
that.
that.
Yeah,
Come back to it later.
Yeah.
definitely. I know what I was gonna say is I found a tool, and I don't know how unlimited it is for free, but I found a tool that you can plug in your video URL and have AI summarize your video. And I had,
Oh.
just to test it out, I had AI summarize one of our sessions, and it was pretty good.
Oh yeah.
Like it was surprisingly like how it kind of ignored some of the random it like because we're playing a D&D game, but we talk about
We get off
we
topic.
go we
Yeah,
go
yeah.
off
For
topic. It
to do
kind
a
of
full
seemed
session,
it
like full
yeah.
3 hours.
Really?
I don't know if it looked at the whole 3 hours or not, but I feel like it did. Cause it was a pretty good. Do I still have that? I wonder. It was a
Because
pretty good summary. I was like, wow.
I played
Because
with stuff like that early on when it was first coming out, but it was limited to like 15, 20 minutes.
oh yeah, maybe it was just because it was whatever it was. Is I was using obviously the free version. Maybe
Yeah.
it only analyzed a little bit of the session, but what it analyzed, it did a great job in summarizing. I mean, in a way that it like didn't even sound like a D&D game. It just sounded like AI summarizing like a story. It was just
Mhm.
like using the characters' names. Now it did get some people's like it goofed some names.
Oh yeah.
It would like
Well,
it
yeah.
but
We
you
mess
could
up the
kind of
names.
yeah, it'll mess up names and stuff, but you could kind of go through and figure out like okay, I could redo this thing or whatever, but I'm like, man, that'd be great if we could get an AI to just like go over our video and give us like a perfect fucking summary of the session.
That would be.
But
But other than that, is there anything else we need to discuss, or?
nah, I think that's about it. I got a message from Harrow saying that he wasn't gonna jump on. He did a lot of driving and stuff, so he's just gonna
Gotcha.
chill tonight. So cool. But
Cool.
yeah, I think
hmm
that's about it for us.
All right.
Well, hopefully next week, next Tuesday, we can get back to Dicks in the Dark, Up and Away, Nova Destiny.
Yep.
No, it's not Nova Destiny anymore. Nova Destiny was season 2. It's just
Ah,
Up and Away Volume 3 now because we don't have a new name for it.
ah.
But, you know, unless you have a new name for the season 3. I don't know if we're into it enough to really have a name
We're
for it.
definitely not.
Yeah,
No.
it
No, I
doesn't
don't think
seem
so.
like it. We don't
Nah.
really we have no idea what's going on. Nova Destiny was easy because it was just like, the captain's name, the ship name, easy peasy, all together, but this one I feel like if we need to name it more, something more
Concrete.
substantially concrete, yeah, for what's
Mhm.
actually happening, and we
I
don't
was
know.
thinking Agents of Chaos, but that could actually be the name for every single game that we play.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say that sounds like the name of every individual session.
Agents of Chaos.
All right, well, I think I'm gonna stop the stream here. So
All
if you've
right.
watched or you're watching or whatever, thanks for watching. We're the Dicks in the Dark. Obviously, we've got D&D stuff coming, so subscribe and like and all that stuff. And we will see you next time.
Peace, peace.
Later.
Peace.
I am quite hungry,